Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister of Fisheries. Does he still have no major concerns about the way foreign boats were used by New Zealand companies, as the Nelson Mail reports he said last year?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr. Speaker, as the Minister of Fisheries, I have concerns if any vessel, foreign or otherwise, misreports catch, is not registered, breaches environmental standards, refuses to comply with requirements for observer coverage, or breaches any other obligations under the Fisheries Act.
The Honourable Shane Jones.
To the Minister. Does he believe that foreign crews receiving wages reportedly as low as $238 per month is a major concern? If not, why not?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that is a matter for the Minister of Labour, but I'm happy to comment, and that is that in the dying days of the previous government, they reset the rules around foreign fishing crews' wages and working conditions, and seemed to be happy back then. I'd be interested if the member could forward this government information if things have changed.
The Honourable Shane Jones.
To the Minister, what specific improvements will he be advocating to ensure that foreign crews are adequately recompensed, or does he not care that this activity is besmirching the reputation of a major New Zealand industry?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, it's a matter for the Minister of Labour to combat, but it'd be fair to say that the previous government in its last dying days looked at fisheries regulations, vessel safety, crew welfare and work visas. They came up with some changes. I don't know why they didn't use that chance only 3 years ago if they were so serious about this issue.
The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, how do allegations of slavery in New Zealand's so-called sustainable fishing industry improve New Zealand's image in our main export markets?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. We have some vaguely intelligent people on the other side of the House who have already...
Order. No, order. There will neither... Order! The member cannot use a point of order to make a negative comment about any other members of this House, so I'll allow him to make his point of order in appropriate terms. The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr. Speaker, I've already said twice to two questions which are out of order because I'm not the Minister of Labour. I pointed that out, however, I gave them the benefit of the doubt and answered the questions. I really think a third time where I'm addressing a question that should be addressed to another minister, it's just entirely out of order.
I'll hear the Honourable Damien O'Connor briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question was quite specific. I was asking what the accusations of slavery in the sustainable or so-called sustainable fishing industry do to our image offshore. That's a simple question for the Minister of Fisheries.
Order. I think I've heard sufficient on the matter. Won't take further time on it. I think the member is correct that I could in fact have ruled the questions out as being more appropriately directed to the Minister of Labour, but I didn't want to deprive the Minister of the chance for a bit of licence to have greater freedom in answering a question. And I didn't want to be a spoil sport. But where members do ask questions that are more appropriately another minister's responsibility, they do risk answers they won't like. And today I've been pretty supportive of members when they've complained about answers given, but where members do address questions that are perhaps more appropriately addressed elsewhere, they risk answers they won't like. Now, I think the member, though, the Honourable Damien O'Connor should have the right to ask his question. It relates to the fishing industry, but how tightly directed it is to the Minister of Fisheries will determine how precisely the Minister has to answer it. The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll read it out again for the Minister. How do allegations of slavery in the so-called sustainable New Zealand fisheries affect our image in our international export markets for fish?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr. Speaker, I can say that how it's addressed, if it's misreporting of catch, is to me. If vessels are not registered, it's to me. If environmental standards are breached, it is to me. In terms of observer coverage, please put the question to me. If it's a matter of slavery in New Zealand or in New Zealand waters, could the member please put the question to the Minister of Labour?
Point of order, the Honourable Damien.
Mr Speaker, I was on the select committee that amended the Fisheries Act to include legal obligations to pay New Zealand rates of pay.
Order,
That is why...
order. The member will resume his seat. Order. The member asked his question and the minister answered it, and there was a definite answer to the question, and the member cannot litigate the answer by way of point of order. He can litigate it by way of further supplementary questions. He's perfectly entitled to do that, and if he doesn't like the answer, feels strongly enough about it, he can put an answer on tomorrow's order paper, but he can't do it by way of point of order. Darien, Fenton, supplementary.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, will this government support an inquiry into the New Zealand fishing industry's relationship with foreign fishing companies, foreign crewing of joint ventures, chartered New Zealand fishing vessels and its effect on sustainable fishing employment and the relevant communities within New Zealand, as set out in the petition of Neville Donaldson, which was presented to the House on the 14th of February and is before the Primary Production Committee?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Well, Mr Speaker, the petition went before the Parliament and now it's before the Primary Production Select Committee. It's a matter for the Select Committee and Parliament.
The Honourable Shane Jones, supplementary question.
Given the Minister's answer about no major concerns, can he confirm to the House whether he has received major concerns from the fishing industry via Peter Talley, and did he answer in such a glib fashion on that occasion?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
I have had correspondence on this matter from a range of people over an extended period, not least of all when the previous government was in power and made some changes.
Mr Speaker.
Rahui Katane.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, has this government conducted an inquiry into the fishing industry's relationship with foreign fishing companies, foreign crewing of joint ventures, chartered and New Zealand fishing vessels, and its effect on sustainable fishing practices, employment and the relevant communities within Aotearoa? If not, why not?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr Speaker, no. Under the previous government, in its last days, ministers did some work with various departments, including the Department of Labour, Maritime New Zealand, Ministry of Fisheries and Department of Immigration. They looked at those matters, they made some changes, they felt that the changes they made were entirely adequate. They may or may not have changed their minds now. It's now before the Primary Production Select Committee and I'm interested in seeing the results of that inquiry.
Question number 12, Tim McIndoe.